everybody. Morning. Okay, so I'm here today to tell you about the power of collaboration and share with you a case study that I was lucky to be part of last year. But before I begin, you're probably wondering why I've got ants on my slides. So to explain collaboration in the simplest form, I'm going to play you a short clip.
We're stronger when we work together.
So the key messages from this clip is that in the natural world, collaboration happens between two or more people naturally without a second thought to support each other. But it's also about realising that in our world, that working in silo will never achieve as much as working together in diverse collaborations. So show of hands if you think that you work collaboratively day to day in your work. Go. Yay, 4. So around 75% of employees and employers say that teamwork and collaboration are very important. And as I go through my slide deck, you'll see that the case study reinforces that message. And on screen, these are just some of the outputs that can be achieved by working together. Because after all, life is not a solo act, it's a huge collaboration by working with others to enable greater outputs and efficiencies. So working together, as I just explained, brings value and efficiency and mutual benefits, and also conveys to others that you've got a good level of emotional intelligence if you can collaborate well. But by forming alliances, you can take small ideas and make them into bigger ideas by working together, which can pay back dividends and enable one big idea and one big opportunity. So on screen, I'd just like to bring the concept to life and show you that on the left-hand side, we've got what is, to many, the traditional delivery in having a 2 to 3 layered approach and working with others, whereas embracing an alliance way of working and collaboration, having an alliance model, means that you can have that one-to-one relationship with your partnerships, build trust, engagement, and also deliver common goals and outputs together and more efficiently while working with others to enable those shared goals and future opportunities to be developed for everybody who's part of that one big idea. So as I've just mentioned, to bring our concept to life, I'm going to give you a very high level of a 6-month journey that I was fortunate to be part of, and Jim in the audience was also part of this, and the principles that we use to enable it to be a success, and it carries on today in activation as an alliance. So last July I was asked to programme manage the creation of our alliance model within our highways areas 3, which is Basingstoke, and up to Area 9, Birmingham area. So I'm here to tell you on behalf of all of those partners involved that journey. We chose to apply and utilise ISO 44001 collaborative working relationship standards, not to fit us to the standard, but to apply the standard as a framework and basis to ensure that we can enable and implement a clear collaborative framework which we could use to ensure a collective and defined structure to identify, develop and manage our collaborative alliance and teamwork to enable that we all felt part of it and our ways of working were developed. So what is the alliance? If you just look at the diagram, that kind of explains in summary who was part of this alliance and continue to be, with Highways England, Kia Highways and our supply chain partners, with in total 24 partners making up the Strategic Road Network Alliance. Just to give you an idea of the partners who form part of the SRN Alliance across the area 3 and 9, and some fall into both areas, you can see on screen that the level of size across the organisation are both small and large, and some of these organisations collaborate every day and collaborate with each other, and then we all collaborated together to build the alliance and ways of working. Before we set out on developing the collaborative framework and ways of working, we all got together in a room to define why we wanted to do it. Why did we need to get together and work differently rather than working in silos and working collaboratively instead? So we decided to apply our strategic objectives to safety, customer and delivery, which are relevant to many companies, and many companies can relate to them as part of their main strategic goals. However, we also chose those because they link to Highways England's strategic imperatives. So as a collective, we were not only supporting one another within the Alliance, but we were also supporting Highways England to impact positively on their performance measures as well. We also had a relationship agreement to ensure that we all knew that when we were all sat together or working in the Alliance, we would work transparently and open and encourage one another to support development in continuous improvement of our relationships, future opportunities, but also that in development of innovations across the board. You saw this model earlier with the ants. This is more of a formal diagram, which we used as part of our Alliance communications to explain again where we were coming from in box 1, the current model, where we had that 2 to 3 layer approach, and then in the active interim model, where Highways England now have that one-to-one engagement with our supply chain partners and all of our partners overall within the Alliance. Eventually in 2021-22, we'll see Highways England take over the Alliance itself, and all partners will sit under the columns underneath, but we will still all be working together to deliver a common goal and output. So how long did it take us to achieve? Believe it or not, 6 months, end-to-end, to implement a fully active Alliance in both Area 3 and Area 9. We started in July, created a system, we developed a training programme, we undertook all the kind of validation and verification before the system, our ways of working, went live, and then we undertook formal external audit to ensure that the alliances themselves would be externally validated to say that we are good to work with once we receive certification. And all in all, 6 months that took to achieve, and the reason for that is because everyone was on the same page, everyone knew why we were doing it, and everyone knew that there was shared rewards in terms of working together and shared resources to do that. And there were 73 members overall involved in this project at the Alliance level. Seeing as I've mentioned that we were certified individually within our own rights against ISO 44 in January. One of the key comments that stood out from the auditor was that they were generally impressed with how we all worked together. Again, that's because we all knew why we were doing it. It wasn't one person's way of working, it was all of our ways of working. And the system that we implemented was streamlined, plain English, and made easy to adapt by any person, any community, any business, whether highways or any other industry sector. Moving on to our partners, who are equally important within the alliances, this is where the shared rewards came in, where from January, 6 of our partners had not achieved or understood to begin with what ISO 44, the framework for collaboration, was. So myself and others within the Alliance went out to 6 of our partners and helped them develop their system and their ways of working from the overall system we developed for the alliances. So we had 6 individual organisations achieve certification, 3 transitioned, including Jim in the audience, and they all had a 1-day audit opposed to a 5-day audit if they took out and approached this individually on their own, because we did it as a collective and worked with the auditing body to have a more creative way to undertake an audit process and be better for everyone involved and more efficient in terms of time. And again, it shows to everybody that between us we're good to work with, and to others it shows we're good to work with them. So just to kind of touch base at the high level what the Alliance model looks like in activation. On the left you'll see that Kia Highways used to lead that engagement with Highways England and then around the circle to our supply chain partners. But then since January, the Alliance board is made up of various members from not only Kia, Highways England, but our supply chain partners to ensure that everyone has a voice. So we all sit around the side and we all are equal partners within the Alliance. The Alliance governance itself is made up, as I mentioned, as the Alliance board, where we have 3 representatives from the 3 parts of the business in terms of Highways, Highways England, and parts of our supply chain partners as well. And then in terms of our strategic objectives, they link to the safety, customer and delivery joint improvement groups on screen, which again are mentioned by various people within the Alliance to ensure that they're continually monitoring and reviewing the objectives set out in terms of delivery of the common goal. There's also joint improvement teams below that who then go off with other activities such as innovation to ensure that they can work together not only in the Alliance but taking outside of the Alliance to develop innovation between 2 supply chain partners and then link it back into the Alliance itself to capture those opportunities that have been realised during the lifetime of the Alliance itself. So just moving on to the portal, which manages the system and our ways of working. This was just a kind of the simplest way to describe how it kind of fits together. So between the alliances, we developed a startup board who went out and developed a management system, ways of working on behalf of the alliance themselves to gain momentum within the programme and to ensure that we could achieve things sooner with everyone's engagement and trust to do the right thing. So we developed this template system, and then we implemented it in Area 3 and 9, both systems having a common look, common feel, but having local variation to the Alliance itself. And then individually, as I mentioned earlier, the organisations could take that same template system and make it their own with oversight and guidance and support from ourselves. One of the things that we continued to progress, and I know these are very small on screen, so you don't need to know the level of detail in the boxes, is pre-launch of the system, our ways of working. We undertook a delivery of a training programme, which was split up over 3 phases, with communication and attendance of all partners at the launch to ensure that they understood what it meant for them again, reinforce why we're working together, but also individually benefit the organisation so then themselves can take this way of working with others forward to develop their own opportunities. So we had a fit-for-purpose technical workshop to make sure the system would work and it was fit for everybody. And then we had launch events to show everyone what the portal and system looked like. And then we implemented the offer of the Collaborative Learning Circle e-learning modules, not only to the Alliance partners, but spread wider to their organisations, so they themselves can understand wider than the Alliance what collaborative working actually means and what it means to work together in that way. So hopefully this will work, if I can just click it somewhere. So this is the portal, which is just a screenshot of the plug and play portal, we kind of named it, and this holds our management system. It's hosted on SharePoint. We built it within 8 weeks with sign-off and validation and sign-off by the members themselves to have one place to access transparently, openly, which held everything about the startup, creation, development, continued today in gathering data and records for all the partners involved to ensure that everyone has openness to how we all work together. The management system itself was split against the ISO 44001 principles. As you can see, there's planning, doing, checking, act, and the bottom corner of each of those boxes refers to the clauses of the ISO standard. To ensure we got the best engagement from everyone involved in the alliances and also adoption of this system within the businesses themselves if required, we stripped out anything to do with the kind of technical language and made it as plain English as possible to make sure that basically any organisation could adopt this. Jim's laughing. Any organisation could adopt this and they can tailor it and take it forward. So you can all work together and link all different areas together in this way of working. I'm going to skip forward. So some of the benefits that we realised during the development of and based on statistics that are the outputs of collaborating in this way regardless, is that you not only get to deliver a common goal in a more accelerated way whilst doing it in the right way for the right reasons, but you also get to share the kind of knowledge of those that you're working with and may not have had the opportunity to work with them before. So within the Alliance, for example, some of our partners who are a more smaller organisation have had the opportunity to work with a larger organisation, and they now go out to each of the individual sites themselves to see how they work and how they can change it in terms of their business and vice versa. So benefits realised so far since the activation of the alliances earlier this year is that successfully we delivered, it says achieved on time, but we actually delivered it in advance of the actual expected timeline in relation to Highways England delivery of Phase 1 progressive asset delivery in Area 3 and Area 9. But that wasn't a reflection of the programme manager. It was a reflection of the people who were involved because of the engagement across the board. And when people have asked me before about the barriers that I experienced in coming into this industry new, developing this way of working with 73 people over 2 geographical areas, I can hand on heart say there were no barriers because everyone was clear from the very beginning, from day one, why they were all doing it and what it meant to them. So that's why it enabled the successful delivery on time with everybody involved, with the trust of a small amount of people developing the ways of working with consultation on behalf of 73 people. So we have now seen the 2-pay over to Highways England back in 2 months ago, and that has seen a successful delivery again supporting Highways England's imperative for safety, customer and delivery and driving the success of the collaboration forward further. Moving on to more benefits realisation, I've mentioned earlier, they've been working with other people, they're looking to implement cross kind of adoption of audit programmes, they have cross-supplier visits, which I've mentioned. We've achieved 11 ISO 44001 certifications, so internally, externally, that's that validation itself in terms of how good the company and the people within it actually are. They've implemented a community events session and awards, so it's more of an inclusive, collective community that makes it feel like it is them who are the reason why it's successful, and recognising that, and also looking to bring in new partners into the alliances themselves to strengthen their ways of working, and also support that continued learning and sharing of knowledge and ideas across the areas. And recently I've been speaking with Highways England Area 14 because they're looking to adopt that same management system tailored to their area and their ways of working for other parts of their business to take forward and work this way. So it's that realisation that actually if you harmonise where possible with local variation, you can actually achieve so much more with so many more people in a quicker way. And lastly, in June, we were successful for the alliances themselves to have won the Collaboration Award at CIHT. Thank you very much again. And that was clearly a reflection and recognition of how hard we all work together, and it continues to this day. And I think all of you would agree, no one of us is as smart as all of us.